If you've ever looked around your quieter house and thought, I should feel happy, so why do I feel a little lost? This episode is going to show you how telling yourself the truth is the first step in creating a next chapter you actually love. The house is quieter, the calendar looks different. It's not just that you miss your kids, it's that your brain keeps circling this question. If I'm not needed in the way I used to be, who am I now? And for a lot of moms, there's this extra layer. You're grateful, you're faithful, you love your family. So you almost feel like you're not allowed to struggle. But the struggle is real, anyways, and you can feel both things at once. Here's why it feels so intense. When your actual feelings don't match your should feelings, your I should be fine, I should be happy, I should be over this, that gap creates emotional discomfort. Research actually backs it up. It's not weakness, it's psych. So today we're combining two powerful things. A coaching skill I learned from my mentor, Jody Moore, episode 356, Owning What's True, and the next chapter work we're doing together here, moving from identity wobble to intentional creation. 4 moves we'll walk together. Number 1, owning what's true without turning it into a self-attack. Number 2, own your whole self, strengths and the messy parts. Number 3, anchor your identity in something bigger than the daily mom role. And choose direction from values to action. So this isn't just insight, it's a beat. I'm going to use real stories to make it land, not just ideas. And I'm going to give you a take-home tip for each point so you leave with something you could actually use. Does any of this sound familiar? Your brain feels busy even though the house is quiet. It makes sense. Your brain is searching for what to do with all that energy. You feel this emotional whiplash. You're proud, sad, relieved, lonely, same day. You're not broken. You're transitioning. You keep thinking, why can't I just move on? Often because you're trying to skip the step of owning what's true. You want two things at the same time, comfort and direction, steady and excited. If you secretly want a new identity, confident woman, creator, mentor, disciple with a mission, you are allowed to want that. This is a normal midlife development work, shifting toward creating and contributing. That's a good thing. Okay, point number 1. Truth is your starting point. Truth is not a threat. Truth is your GPS. Jody Moore teaches it this way. You cannot get directions to where you want to go if you don't admit where you are. So if you think about a GPS, this weekend I'm going to my daughter-in-law's baby shower. That's at a place I've never been, far away, and I don't know how to get there. But if I put it into my GPS, I have to put my starting point. I have to put my house where I am. So my GPS knows where I'm starting to know where to take me, what direction, even the first take a right. And the GPS does not shame you for your location. It just routes you from reality. So the empty nest is wildly different for different women. There's grief, relief, both. And making yourself wrong for feelings is where this gets sticky. All right, I'm going to tell you a story now. Recently, my husband and I went to Vegas and I packed this big cooler. Food for the week. We were saving money, trying to eat healthy. I had it all figured out. So we were staying in this nice hotel. My kids would call it a bougie hotel. And before we left, my husband said, I don't think you should bring that cooler. Well, I already had it packed. I'd already had thought through all the food. I already had it in there. And so I brought it anyways. And so picture this. This is only valet parking. You can't even park yourself. We park. I pull out my suitcase and this big cooler. And the valets are like, oh, that's interesting. And do you need me to bring you like a cart or something to bring that up in? And so I just thought, no, I got it. So I put it on top of my suitcase and I'm pulling it through this nice hotel and we get it up to the room and I'm packing it into the fridge. And anyhow, it was just this funny. I could tell the valets were just like, oh boy. So then afterwards, we had to pack it up when we left, this big heavy thing. And here's what I learned afterwards. My husband has traveled to places like this more than I have. And he knew I didn't listen and I made the whole experience heavier. And we really didn't even eat that much of the food, to be honest. So sometimes letting go of control makes the experience more enjoyable for both of. It wasn't a self-attack moment, it was just honest and humble without being humiliating. So being reflective about that without spiraling. I did find myself kind of getting a little defensive, like, hey, I worked so hard on this. I packed all this food when he mentioned that. And then just kind of being humble and being like, yeah, that was heavier than I had to take. Where in your life are you dragging a cooler? Something that feels like control, but it's making the whole experience heavier. So here's your take home tip. Try the two truth sentence today. It's true that I want to feel useful and needed. It's also true that I'm learning to enjoy and trust this new season. Write down your two truths. That's owning what's true. No shame, no spin, just honesty. Your GPS needs to start from where you actually are and just write down your two truths of where you actually are beginning. Okay, point number 2. Your whole self belongs here. Owning what's true, meaning owning the whole picture, strengths and the messy edges. You're a human. You have beautiful, wonderful talents and abilities. And you also have things that you're not so good at that are kind of your messy edges. And that's just being human. And so real self-acceptance backed by research includes acknowledging both the good and the hard qualities about yourself. And what makes that doable instead of terrifying is self-compassion, self-kindness, common humanity. You're not alone in this. You're human. Others are the same way. You also relate more to them because when you acknowledge your humanness. So mindfulness, holding your experience without over dramatizing it. We're not doing this to beat ourselves up until you improve. We're doing this. We're doing truth plus kindness helps you move forward to your next step. I'm going to tell you about my friend Rahel Jackson. She's a great photographer and friend of mine, and she photographs midlife women and helps you feel confident in front of the camera. And she just owns it right from the start. She says, I got a mommy tummy, I've had 4 kids, and here's how I post and feel beautiful and happy in my photos. And she shows women these poses, and it's gorgeous. She took photos of me, and I love them. That is self-acceptance in action. That is the antidote to I'll show up when I'm a perfect trap. She didn't wait until her body was different or try to hide behind somebody else. She worked with what's true, and she does it beautifully. Okay, here's another story. I was coaching a gal. Her name was Karen, and she was really upset because her sister had introduced her at a party like this. This is Karen, and she's a Karen. For anyone who doesn't know that reference, a Karen is someone who's very specific, knows exactly what they want, will use her words to get it, very driven. And this woman was offended, rightfully so, because it's a loaded label. But I asked her, is there any part of you that's actually a Karen? Any part of that that's true? And she paused and said, well, yeah, I do know what I want, and I say what I want, and I'm good at going after what I want. All good things. So I said, okay, what if instead of shrinking from that label, you own that real version of you, the parts of it that are true? Instead of freezing up when her sister said, this is Karen, and she's a Karen, she could have said, nice to meet you, and don't mess with me, and with a smile on her face. That's not arrogance, that's secure identity. The move, take this shame label, translate it into truth. What part of this is true? Then refine it. Okay, what's a label you've been afraid of? Controlling, intense, emotional, ambiguous, and what might be of healthy strength underneath it? Oftentimes, our weaknesses are just our strengths overused. Okay, take home tip number 2. Use this sentence. The strength under the edge is ... Here's some examples. The strength under my intensity is devotion. The strength under my need for control is care. Then choose a refinement. Today, I'll be direct and warm. Okay, next point. Owning truth changes your relationships. The emptiness isn't just about missing your kids. It's about how every relationship shifts. Marriage dynamics, adult children dynamics, friendships, all of it changes. So research shows that marital satisfaction often actually increases after the empty nest. But only when couples learn to enjoy their time together, not just fill it. And that requires emotional maturity, owning truth without attacking each other. In the Book of Mormon, there's a story of a man named Lehi, and he had these visions, and he sent his sons back to Jerusalem multiple times. And the last time, it's taking longer than anyone expected. And Sariah, the mom, is done. She lets him have it, and she's like, "You are a visionary man." And in that moment, it's not a compliment. And here's what Lehi does that is so good. He doesn't fire back. He doesn't get defensive. He owns it. He says, "I know that I am a visionary man." He just owns it. And it calms everything down. They talk, they move forward, and that calm ownership creates safety in a relationship. When you stop defending yourself and say, "Yeah, that's true," you can take charge of the room. Okay, here's another story for you. I have a friend who has a son on a mission for our church in the Philippines. And before his mission, he was a very picky eater. And on his mission, he's eating chicken feet and tongues and all kinds of things. And she's talking to him, and he says, "Don't expect me to eat all weird food when I get home. I'm not eating weird salad again." And my friend, who is a very healthy eater, no meat, very intentional about food, she just laughs and she owned it completely. "Weird salad? Okay. You're going to eat chicken feet, but not my salads?" No offense taking, no defensiveness, just secure. That is what it looks like when you're grounded in who you are. A little teasing doesn't shake you. Okay, so point number 3, practice warm ownership phrases like, "Yep, that's me," or "Fair point," or "You're not wrong." Drop the defensiveness first, then set a boundary calmly if you need to. Secure identity sounds like laughter, not armor. Weird salad? Laughter. Okay, point number 4, truth is how you choose a new direction. This is where we go from "I feel seen" to "I know what to do next." When you live under constant "I should" pressure, emotional vulnerability goes up. One of the most freed moves you can make is replace "I should" with what is actually true. "I could," just those 2 words. And then you choose a new road. Because here's the thing, you cannot keep doing the same things and expect to end up somewhere different. I read a book called Tending Roses by Lisa Wingate, and there's this scene that stopped me. A grandma and her granddaughter are driving from the farm into town, a road they've driven on hundreds of times, and the grandma keeps asking, "Where are we going?" And the granddaughter gets worried, thinking, "The grandma, is she losing her mind? Is her dementia worse than I thought? What's going on here?" But the grandma keeps asking more and more pointedly. And finally, the granddaughter realized what the grandma is actually saying. If you keep going down the same road, you're going to end up in the same place. If you want a different destination, you have to choose a different road. That's the whole episode in one image. If you keep living the exact way you did when your kids were home, same pattern, same self-talk, same avoidance, where does that road take you in a year? And where do you actually want to go? We're not gaslighting ourselves here. We're not just saying, "Just think positive." The sequence is truth, this is hard. Meaning, this is a transition that can produce real growth. And then action. Here's my next step. Truth first, then reframe, then move. So here's your take-home tip. Ask yourself, what road am I currently on, and where does it actually lead? Then ask, what's one small thing I can do today that belongs to my next chapter, not the last one? Values, small action, new road. So today we talked about your truth is your GPS, not your enemy. You need your truth of where you're actually beginning. Your whole self belongs, the beautiful parts and the messy ones. And self-compassion is the tone that makes truth feel safe instead of scary. And your identity is anchored deeper than your current season. You're a child of God, child of the covenant, a disciple that doesn't change when your kids leave home. You can choose a new road on purpose, values, to action. Here's where I'm going to be honest with you, because that is where most women drift. You feel inspired. You think, yes, I want to change. And then you go back to the same road. Not because you're weak, but because change without support is hard. If you're tired of repeating the same cycle, your next step is not try harder. Your next step is get supported. 2 steps to creating your best empty nest. Number 1, book your free next chapter jumpstart call. Go to marianniverson.com/call. That's Marianne with an I and an E on the end, iverson.com/call.
Apparently, I've been saying backslash this whole time. It's front slash. So if you found the link anyway, I'm impressed.
And choose a time. Don't overthink it. Just book it. Number 2, show up. Even if you feel emotional, even if you feel messy, even if you don't know what you want yet. That's exactly why we meet. To tell the truth about where you are and then map to route forward. I believe this about you. You are not done. You are not past your best years. You are not only a mom. You are a whole, powerful woman stepping into a new season. Still needed, still capable of joy, and you get to build what's next on purpose. Thanks for being with me today. I'll see you next time.
If this felt familiar, you're not alone. I created a short quiz, Who Am I, after the kids leave. It helps you name what actually is going on for you in this season and what you might need next. You'll find the link in the description. And if you want more conversations like this, you could subscribe. I'm here every week.